Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com. And in this video, what I want to do is talk about testing. Specifically, I want to talk about the testing library, Jest, but also just the concept of testing. There's different types of testing, end-to-end testing, where you're testing just sort of the whole, not just like a part of your application, but just sort of the whole flow of the application and actually doing the thing your application does. And then there's unit testing, where you're testing pieces to make sure that they work. Okay, because of course the whole doesn't work if the pieces don't work. So we should make sure that our functions and our classes and the different parts of our program do what we think they're going to do. So essentially the idea behind unit testing, and if you've used things like Code Wars or Hanker Rank, the way they test your results to see if your algorithm works is through unit testing. They're using a testing library like Jest to test your results. I also going to eventually do some Cypress lessons, but just wanted to kind of cover Jest first. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new folder. And I'll call this Jest 2 because it'll be my second one with Jest, but you can call it whatever you want. In that folder, I'm going to open that up in my terminal. I am going to create, I'm going to touch a myfuncs.js. This is where I'm going to write my functions. Then we're going to do an npm init-y to create a package.json. Then we're going to install Jest, npm install. We want to save it as a dev dependency, so it's --save -dev. So that way it saves it as a dev dependency. And npm install, save dev, Jest. So then we just wait for it to install Jest, which is going to be our library for testing. And then we'll create a function in the meantime. So let's create a function. So const myfunc equals, okay, we're gonna say it takes, it'll take an array. We'll have it do a few things. And that's an arrow function, so we gotta make sure we got the arrow. We're gonna say if the array dot length, wait, no. If array.length is greater than 0, then what it's going to do is just basically log each item. So for each item, return, I should just probably map. It's just going to return basically the array. I should just do that. Keep it simple. But if the array, that's if the array is 0, so let's put that as an else. Okay. Cut. So basically, if the array is greater than 0, no, that's right. If the array is greater than 0, return the array, and if not, return oops. Okay. So that's our function. We want to test it out. So we're going to export it. Okay, and then there we go. It's exported. Great, great, great. Let's go to our package.json, and we're going to change our script to say just run Jest, which will just run all the tests in the folder. Cool. And now we need to make a test. So we're going to make a new file called we'll call it tests.spec.js. That tells it that it's a Jest specification test or whatnot. Cool. So then what we do in this file, we have to make our tests. So first you create a describe. A describe is going to create like a batch of tests. So the idea is you're testing one thing. So what we do is we have to give that test a label so that we know what we're testing. So testing myfunc. Then we create an arrow function. And the thing is we can have several tests. Okay, so we'll have the first test, which is going to test VS Code test. Well, what it's going to test is, and then we have to put a descriptor saying what are we testing right now, so that it return function returns array. Okie dokie. And then we pass another arrow function there. And now we can actually start putting our individual tests. So basically we're going to say we expect that my func, which should now be imported up here, so my func Jest2. Oh, I just realized I put this in the wrong folder, so let me just drag that back up to Jest2. Move, yes, redo the imports. There we go, that's better. My funcs. Let's get rid of this line. I did not actually want to refer to timestamps. Okay, yay for auto imports. Okay, expect my func. So if I pass this array to my func 1, 2, it should just give me back the array. So that's the function that I'm running, and then I'm going to chain off of that to equal, meaning what do I think the result's going to be, and what I expect the results to be is the same array back. It should just return that array back. And I can do a few of these tests. Okay, just to make sure that it does what I think it's going to do. So 3, so it should just give me the same array back. Okay, and that's that first test. So we're testing what happens if the array actually has a value. Now I want to do another test. Test that function says oops if array is empty. Okay. So then I do this, and then we create a test saying expect my func. If I pass an empty array dot to equal oops. Okay, so that way I can see, I'm categorizing my different tests, that way I can see what I'm testing. So I know this is overall describe, I'm testing my func, and I'm running a test where I'm testing different aspects of my func. So now that I got my test, I should be able to just run npm test. Okay, and it's running the test. Oh, let's see here, it failed the test. It's probably more syntax error on the test than anything else. Let's see here, reference error, my func is not defined. Is it not? Yes, it is. My func. Returns array. So it did pass the first test, didn't pass the second test. Oh, capital. That's why. There we go. Okay, and cool. So see, my test passed. So the idea is the function is doing these little aspects of my function do what they do, and now I don't have to write these tests again. Okay, and that's the beauty of this. Like there's certain things that I want this function to do. As long as I write these unit tests, it'll test that that function continues to do. And then every time I make a new function, I write a couple new tests. So that way, as I alter the function, it still does what I need it to do. And then if I alter what the function needs to do, then I have to alter the test. But the idea is that someone else can work on the code, they can alter the function, and this test will tell them, hey, did you screw up how that function works? Because the function's no longer doing what it is supposed to do. And cool thing is you can do things like continuous integration, where you can actually set up, like in GitHub or through Circle CI, you can automate saying, hey, run these tests before you allow someone to push to this GitHub repo. So if the test fails, then the push to the GitHub repo fails, which prevents someone pushing bad code or breaking code to a particular branch or to master or whatnot. So this can be really useful. But again, this is unit testing. We're just testing individual functions. Now in the coming videos, we'll go explore the Cypress library, which also has unit testing, but also have like end-to-end and integration testing, other testing suites. But this is Jest. This is sort of one of the more popular testing libraries. But you see, it's pretty simple. The idea is you just have a thing you're testing, you describe it, and then you run multiple tests. And each test, the idea is that you expect that this code will have this result. And that's that. So I can see here that the first test, function returns array, succeeded. And the second one, function says oops if array is empty, that's succeeded. And that's why I'm passing these strings, so that way this output is descriptive. And then I can see what the error is. So here I can see that my error wasn't the function, my error was that I messed up the test. But again, this is just about making sure that you're comfortable that your code is working the way you think it is, And again, the little extra time that you spend making tests later on will save you time and having to debug your code later on when people push bad code, because people are catching their mistakes because of your tests early instead of later when they compound on top of each other. So that's sort of the benefit of testing. My name's Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com. Have a great day and enjoy.